Um, I, Kavita Parmesh, Treasurer of Bengaluru branch, welcome you all for the second day of the two-day CPE Conference on behalf of Bengaluru branch. May I request Vice Chairman Pramod Hegde to escort our speakers for the first session, Mr. Ashwani Taneja, as well as the speaker for the second session, Mr. Amit Khemka. I also request Pramod to greet the dignitaries with the floral bouquet. Members, today's sessions are lined up like this. The first session is anti-money laundering laws and its interplay with other laws such as Income Tax, Black Money Act, and other economic laws, and also followed by critical aspects of handling prosecution and complaints in laws dealing with economic offenses. So we have Mr. Ashwani Taneja, as well as Mr. Amit Khemka on this. I would like to briefly introduce these two speakers right now. Mr. Ashwani Taneja is currently a practicing lawyer specializing in the areas and dealing with and handling all facets of economic, corporate, and tax laws, rendering his advisory and representation services at various judicial forums all across the country. He is the founding partner of Prudent Law Chambers. Mr. Taneja is a former member of Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, a lawyer, a chartered accountant, company secretary, cost and management accountant, and also holds a BCom Honors LLB and LLM, and also a diploma in DISA from ICAI. Too many things to hold for one person. He has, to his credit, more than 25 years of experience. He was appointed as a member of Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, and he worked as a member of Income Tax Tribunal till 2017. He has co-authored and authored more than 2,000 judgments dealing with various issues of domestic as well as international tax laws and tax laws. Mr. Taneja is a prolific speaker on various issues pertaining to economic offenses, income tax and corporate law, and has delivered various lectures at various forums. He's given many TV interviews and TV channels on union budgets and other developments which are taking place in the country. Mr. Taneja has widely traveled abroad on an invitation to the international tax, on a conference on international tax for updation of UN Model Tax Convention at United States headquarters. He was also invited by the Chief Justice of Tax Court of Canada for membership of International Association of Tax Judges Canada, and he became a member of IATJ in the year 2017. He has also participated in their global tax conference held at Helsinki, Finland. He was invited to speak at the 11th St. Petersburg International Legal Forum on the legal issues arising in bilateral trade between India and Russia by Ross Congress, that is Ministry of Justice and Russian Federation, for his views on the subject. Members, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Ashwani Taneja. Welcome to you, sir. The next speaker who will be addressing all of us today, he is Mr. Amit Khemka. He's a litigation lawyer with experience of almost 39 years at the bar. He has handled large number of cases involving complex issues in domestic in the domains of criminal, civil, and constitutional laws. When district Gautam Budh Nagar was abolished, he was the lawyer who fought in High Court and Supreme Court to get the district status restored to Gautam Budh Nagar. He handled many significant legally impactful and socially impactful judgments, cases. He has a large client base, including corporates, professionals, public servants, and politicians. For his legal acumen, he is regularly invited at All India Radio, various TV channels, and has participated in more than 400 debates on All India Radio and more than 1,000 debates on TV channels, in various TV channels. He has addressed a standing committee of parliament and regularly delivers lectures at different forums, including chartered accountants, lawyers, and students. He has held various posts in number of NGOs and lawyers associations. He has been bestowed with various awards and recognition by a number of organizations for legal acumen and services to the masses. Welcome to you, sir. It's our pleasure to have you. So I hand over the dais to both of you now. Please take over. Thank you.
Thank you. Shubhodaya. Good morning to all of you. The Bangalore branch of ICI and all my brothers and sisters from the profession. I hope you are from outside Bangalore also, from Karnataka as I am told, from various parts of the country. My guru and my partner Amit Khemka ji, who is one of the learned lawyers today, probably leading the country in the laws in dealing in economic offences, especially PMLA. Kavita madam, Pramod ji, all the dignitaries from the branch. It is not my first visit to Bangalore, and whenever I get call from Bangalore, I have some special affection because of many reasons, the kind of warmth I get and kind of weather I get and the keen speakers I get here, keen listeners I get here. So this subject, which is one of the hotly debated subject in the country, as you know, do you have any idea when the corona period was going on, which department was the most active department in the country after security, medical and eateries? What other institution was working? Everything else was shut. Even aviation was shut, railways, transport, everything was shut. Only one other department was working, apart from these three: medical, eatery, it was Enforcement Directorate. So at that time, day in, day out, whatever was happening due to corona, that was separate thing. But whatever is happening, the only other news was that what is happening at the level of the Enforcement Directorate, what searches, etc. was going on, etc., etc. That shows the significance which our present dispensation is giving to this subject, this area. And you would have kindly noticed so far, since 2014, that it has been found by the government that tax law in itself is not sufficient to take care of the dent which is happening in the economy, to place a curb on the parallel economy which is going on, growing more and more. So that is how, and that is why these laws dealing with economic offenses have either been reintroduced or freshly introduced. Re-strengthened or freshly introduced. Some new laws have been freshly introduced. To have a better understanding of these laws, we need to have understanding of, at least a minimum understanding of, combination of various laws. And that is why neither the advocates in themselves nor any other professional in themselves are sufficient or enough alone to take care of this subject. And that is why, my dear professional brothers and sisters, harsh actions are happening in the country, but judiciary is not able to do adequate intervention. What I am trying to say, that though the economy needs very stringent law. But to have a balanced approach, a rational approach, and to avoid collateral damage, proper implementation of the law is other equal requirement. The need is imperative, otherwise the collateral damage would be much more than the benefit which is intended to be received. And what is impediment is lack of understanding of the subject on the parts of all functionaries involved. The policymakers, first of all, the lawmakers, the enforcement agencies, the professionals whose task has always been to understand the subject and ensure adequate compliance only, and above all, judiciary. So lack of understanding is so prevalent that the right and wrong has been mixed. Sometimes because of certain agendas, and some other times because of lack of understanding. And that is where the need of the professional comes, precisely over there. That we take a lead, grasp that understanding, place it very well, and give adequate professional services and legal protection to our clients. And as I said, that this law requires combination, a very fine, refined fusion of understanding of nitty-gritties of financial structuring, corporate law, and criminal law, and civil law, and few more things. And as far as this first area is concerned, first two areas are concerned, who can be a better person than us? Maybe in the court we may not be leading from the front. Seasoned lawyers like Amit Khemka sir and his colleagues may still lead the front in the criminal court, but the entire backup, if we prepare, if we join hands, the law has to take its adequate course only, not a misdirected one then. Because of this lack of understanding and misdirected approach only, the courts are not getting it convenient to grant bails. It is not that there are no provisions of granting bails. It is because of this reason that because of lack of understanding, the judges are not able to understand, and they say that there are requirement of twin condition, meaning thereby at the stage of granting of bail itself, it has to be ensured that the offense has not been committed or the person may not be guilty of this offense. And since this requirement cannot be fulfilled at this stage, the matter is dragged. Bail is not granted or is refused. And if this understanding is ensured on the part of the lawyers representing or a team of professionals representing, then the judge will be able to take a rational, far more rational decision. So this is the right time when we have this understanding to do our bit. It is only one reason. The second reason is that the way things are happening in the country, awareness of only one law will not be sufficient to properly guide a client with regard to any particular transaction or set of transactions. If a client asks you, sir or madam, I am going to enter into this transaction, is it all right? What are going to be the tax consequences? And so far we would simply tell him, okay, this is the tax calculation, okay, you do it, go ahead. It is not going to be like that now. We have to examine a transaction from many angles. That is one. And only then we can guide him, okay, it is yours in the safe zone, go ahead. It could be sale, it could be purchase. It could be sale or purchase of a particular property, or taker of business, or sale of business, merger, demerger, or any other similar set of permutation combination of transactions. Any one of them, even simpliciter sale of property, or purchase of property, where your client is going to just pay the money and buy the property. But if the property was erstwhile involved in any kind of proceeding under PMLA because of the default committed by the seller with his banker, the property may be attached in the hands of the buyer. Whatever I am speaking, I am not speaking anything hypothetically, my dear friends. Whatever I am speaking, I have in my backing a live case study. Where people have even purchased property through auction from Canara Bank. And Khemka ji is fighting because that property was attached when he reached to get the property registered. By the time sale certificate was issued under section 13 of SARFAESI, even after that it was attached. And we are still fighting. That petition had to be filed in Delhi High Court. Many more such live cases I will give. Even in case of sale also. You are selling the property. Okay, I am just selling the property, I am getting the money. And if the money is tainted, you may be asked 100 questions. And if you are not able to properly answer those questions, believe me, the money received may also be attached. Arising on account of sale of property. That is only one aspect. Other aspect is of Benami. The property which you purchase, if it was Benami property of the seller, it can be attached. So, it is only not one law. And other major problem, this is one set of problems only. Other major problem. Suppose we have to take care of a gentleman with respect to one law. But for example, he says, sir, okay, this much tax was evaded, I want to settle it. So let us accept that this was a bogus transaction or something like that. And let us pay tax. And you simply calculate the liability of payment of tax and interest. Immunity from prosecution you will get once you make an offer for concession, or maybe you go to settlement commission or whatever. But that calculation is not enough now. Because you are taking him out of a small pit of income tax, but in this process you may not know that you are pushing him into the deep valley of other laws, like anti-money laundering law, like Benami law, which are really irreversible accidents, irreparable damages. They are really deep jungles, deep valleys. Nobody comes out. Particularly if he enters on the basis of confessions, self-made admissions. So holistic understanding, one may choose to do practice in one area and one should do that only. I'm not saying at all do practices in multiple areas, never do that. Like doctors, they choose one area, we have to also choose one area. But while giving a suggestion or an opinion, we have to have the holistic understanding of the subjects. Only then we can take it forward, not otherwise. Only then we can fulfill, discharge our role. And in times to come, a client will be comfortable only with those professionals who can confidently give him the holistic view of the matter. If you will, the language speaks, the body gestures speak, convey the message, real message. If you speak like that, ki, according to me, it's all right, okay, you can do, you can think of doing, other things maybe check, something like that. If the language is that kind of generalized or vague, he will understand that he's not giving a holistic opinion. He's not confident of what he's speaking. And once you say, ki, look, sir, there could be 5 or 6 areas where implications be there. I have examined every area, and my opinion with regard to every area is like this. For example, I had to raise red flags in one of the cases. One of my clients wanted to buy property, and he was getting the property cheaper, and he was very eager to buy it. He said, tomorrow also I have to do the sale deed. So I said, have you examined the sale registered deed? So I said, I have examined, and it is registered in the name of the person, and title deed is also clear by and large. I said, can I examine? He said, yes. So I saw the sale deed. I said, whom you said you are dealing with? He said, Mr. X. And I said, but registry is in the name of Mr. Y. So who happens to be Y? He said, no, sir, he is dealing on behalf of Y. I said, all right, but why not Mr. Y is dealing? He said, sir, Y is not dealing because X is coming to me. I said, you are avoiding my question. Who is Y? What is the relation between X and Y? So initially he was very, he was thinking that as if I am creating a stumbling block, unnecessarily getting anxious and trying to prove my value. But I said, okay, for me, if you really have some faith, just find out who is Y. And Y came out to be his driver. Now you tell me. And some litigation was going on upon this X group of companies of Mr. X. Income tax, this, that, many departments were hovering around him. So now this Y is driver, he is selling property of 10 crores. I as a buyer will not even meet Y. I will do dealing with X. Y's capacity is not there to hold property of rupees 10 crores at all. I'll pay him 10 crores, every dealing will be with X. Tomorrow if this property is found to be Benami property, it can be attached. Even if it is sold by him. But the law only gives protection to a third party as a bona fide buyer under section 26 of PBPT, Prohibition of Benami Property Transaction Act. It has not yet gone dead. This Ganpati Dealcom judgment has not killed it. The law is still alive. Only issue of retrospective has gone into doldrums. One of the most harsh law which can prove to be obnoxious which exists on this earth, because the taming provisions are so sweeping that one can't even imagine. So I happen to buy property, end up in buying property of Mr. Y, action takes place, property are attached. Now I can get rid of that attachment. I have to prove that I am a bona fide buyer under section 27 of PBPT Act. There are two conditions in that. That I have to prove that I had no knowledge of Benami transaction. A. I have to also prove that adequate consideration has been paid. Now these two conditions look to be very innocuous, but they are difficult to be proved. I have to do what not to prove these two conditions. First of all, how shall I prove I had no knowledge? I have to prove the negative. I had no knowledge of Benami transaction, that this property is Benami. Would my conduct convey that? Because the moment sudden action of search happens, whom you are dealing with? Mr. X. If I say Mr. Y, you could tell me Hulia of Y. I may not be able to tell. And this property of X, of 10 crores, his salary is hardly 10,000 rupees. Since last decade, he happens to be driver of X. You know this. How shall I say I don't know this? Apparent. So that means you knew property of X held by Y. And this property is 20 crores, you are getting in 10 crores. All nearby properties are selling not less than 25, 30. So how adequate consideration has gone? On both the conditions, I would be at receiving end. So I will take you now 10 minutes back. What was the question my client was asking? He said, sir, I want to buy this property, is all right, this is a tax implication. Answer is yes, okay, this much tax is required, this much sources you have. Okay, you will claim deduction under section 54F because you have sold another property, you will get the deduction, okay, buy it. But see what direction it has taken. Once one such matter happened in the case of Virgo Township, around 4 years back, 2017-18, before Corona. There's a big township, in fact, he had, this young dynamic builder had purchased the land on which he built township. This entire township was attached from Jaipur. Luckily, we could become successful in proving that he was a bona fide buyer. Order is published. It is on the site of the Appellate Tribunal of PBPT. It was the first order coming from the tribunal in the country, which was argued by me and our office at that time. So then I woke up at that time. So my waking up was because of this kind of judgments which happened. And since then I am witnessing how people are getting impacted unaware of these laws and the serious implications these laws are having. So luckily the the way transaction was structured was in this manner that amount of consideration was paid all right. And the people who were coming they were group of farmers and all that. So it could not have been said that I could have deducted this is a Benami transaction. So something like that happened. And the law was also at a very nascent stage. So Honorable Tribunal, Honorable Justice Manmohan was very gracious judge, and he was kind enough to give benefit of this provision of section 27, treated him as bona fide buyer, released the property, but property still remains Benami in the hands of Benamidar and beneficial owner. So only this limited benefit was granted by him. Similarly, another matter came up, Kavita infrastructure. And similarly, various other case studies which I will discuss with regard to PMLA also with you. So the only requirement which I have of our life, me here with empty mind and then with open mind, not with any preconceived notion. This is a new era. This is a new legal era in which we have entered. Believe me. You must be reading day in, day out, the actions happening, the judgments coming. So it is not the judgments which used to come earlier, the pattern has totally changed. You know, the perception-based judgments are also happening. So something which was burden upon the other side, because of perceptions, the burdens have come on my side. Instead of prosecution, the accused has to prove that he is innocent, he is not guilty, because of this perception-related issues. So therefore, the burden becoming heavier, I have to have deeper understanding of the law, and I need to have an extensive guidance, need to give extensive guidance to my clients for collection of extensive documentation and information in support of proving legality of his transactions in all times to come. Mark the word, all times to come. I did not say 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, all times to come. You must have read these two notifications, 9th May and 3rd May 2023, which casts an obligations for chartered accountants and lawyers to maintain certain records, because they have been treated as reporting entities, and report the matter to the affiliated wing of the enforcement directorate, that is FIU, time to time with regard to certain transactions. And for that, not only the client, you as a chartered accountant has to maintain the record for all times to come. Because the way provisions are worded, they say that it should be kept for so many years after the end of the relationship with the client, not from the day of transaction, end of the relationship. And our relationship, chartered accountant relationship, is not that of a lawyer's relationship. Lawyer's relationship is one of transaction, one of case, and that's it. Here it is lifelong. So suppose a transaction happens in 2015, right? And that person is still continuing with me, because we have regular audits and all that, the relationship is still continuing. So I am, as a chartered accountant, required to maintain those documentation till 5 years of the end of the relationship. So if relationship is continuing till 2030, I have to maintain till 2035. That burdensome the compliances have become. But that is the need of the day. Not in India, it's worldwide. Because of the strict enforcement by FATF, Financial Action Task Force, working under the guidance of United Nations. So, the most debated hot topic is PMLA. We begin with that, anti-money laundering law. Before I proceed, I just want to have a feel of to the in-depth, to what depth we want to go today. We want to go vertical or horizontal. What I mean to say is, we wish to involve more and more in conceptual understanding, or you have got with you practical issues which you want to understand. So I devote less time on the conceptual framework and more time on the open house question answer session. How can I have this feel? I mean, okay, I will kindly raise the hands who have many questions. Kindly raise the hands who have question and answers. Kindly raise the hands. One. Sorry, sir. Conceptual understanding more. Okay. So, since you are not bringing your questions, that means we have not yet touched upon this subject practically. We are not representing this in any manner. Our clients are not consulting us. So that means it is still the domain of the lawyers only. Because I am getting cases from Karnataka, from Bangalore, ED. That means cases are there. Bangalore ED is active. Any idea whether Bangalore ED is active or not? It is active. It is taking actions day in, day out. And we are not giving any support mechanism. So something is lacking somewhere. Let us fill up that today. Okay. So if you talk about conceptual understanding, Okay, before I come to that, let me show this slide to you. And these two beautiful creatures were attached by none other than Enforcement Directorate. So, you will say, are they wildlife authorities? Why would they catch hold of them? That is where the thing comes that कानून के हाथ बहुत लंबे हैं. And really, the connect of ED, the umbrella it has is quite wide, quite sweeping. Even if money is not involved, somehow money is involved. Because when we talk about money laundering, money should be involved. Only then ED will come into picture. I will show how. So there is a concept of scheduled offense, which Khemka ji will explain at length. So if a person has done scheduled offense, only then he can be roped into money laundering. So there is a long list of scheduled offenses. And Wildlife Protection Act, environment laws, these are one of the laws, one of the subjects mentioned over there. So one gentleman, I don't know how gentle he was, but he did a violation of these laws, and also he forged his certificate. So he did some violation under IPC also, Indian Penal Code. So offense was committed. So since offense was committed, ED gets, because of forgery, get right to make, because offense has been committed, and because of that, he got hold of these two creatures. So then they are treated something coming as a result of commission of an offense is called as proceeds of crime. So they were treated as proceeds of crime, and proceeds of crime are liable to be attached under section 5 of PMLA by the Enforcement Directorate. So that is how they got the power to make attachment. Later on, they were handed over to the zoo authorities, thankfully. Then you would have noted that news coming up day in, day out. And now this has become old law, but this is very, very important, which I have mentioned now. Multi-agency scrutiny. So section 72A of PMLA has specifically brought on the statute to make this happen, that coordinated action will happen by all the agencies simultaneously. Now, so far it has not happened because of lack of coordination or ego reasons or insecurity reasons between various departmental agencies, but now it is going to be mandate of the day, using higher order data analytics. So, as I was saying, let us concentrate a little bit on the, if not more, on the conceptual framework. So when we talk about conceptual framework, we begin with the understanding of the thing, what we are talking about, that is money laundering, what money laundering is. What do you understand from money laundering? Who would like to make a guess? Okay, speak. Speak so loud that ED is able to listen that. Your voice should go up to ED, Enforcement Directorate, that we are having understanding of the subject. Please don't take illegal actions now anymore.
Any monetary transactions that we have done against lawful and unethical is the money laundering.
Any unlawful action is money laundering. Okay. Any other guess? Any? When we learn the most when we try whatever we can, because beyond that comes the learning.
Based on the word laundering, it means tainted money getting washed.
Tainted money getting washed. Okay? Now converting, I was waiting for this. Please give mic to madam. Converting black money to white money is tax evasion. Right? We tax evaded money, you convert it into white, you have evaded tax. Whether tax evasion itself is money laundering? That raises to the next question. The source of? Sorry, I could not hear. Can you please give the mic? Achha, last side. Upstairs. Okay. Source of money is? Okay. Any more? Diversion of funds. Okay. Yes, you're going somewhere little. Okay, let me take up one by one. Actually, so far we have dealt with tax laws, so we are hovering around the violations which are happening of tax laws. Now, these terms which we happen to hear in assessment orders, if funds have been diverted. So how does it matter? Money laundering has nothing to do with diversion of funds and anything. Source not disclosed, all right, not disclosed. How money laundering has happened? Money laundering happens when at least three things happen. At least these three things. A person has committed a crime, an offense. What offense or what crime? Which is recognized as an offense or a crime under this law, which is called as scheduled offense, which will be deliberated in the prosecution section of our today's discussions. 2. From that crime or offense, commission of offense, some money has been generated or property valuable in terms of money, measurable in terms of money have been generated. These chimpanzees were measurable in terms of money because they had some price in the market. So, some valuables have been generated, money has been generated. Stage number 2. Stage number 3, that money or the property so derived is portrayed, demonstrated, claimed, shown as money from or property from legitimate sources. So bad money shown as good money. Then money laundering can be said to have taken place. Now let us take all the examples which we quoted one by one. Madam said, what's your name, madam? Rishikash ji said that tax evasion. Now crime has happened, offense has happened, tax evasion has happened, and because of tax evasion, I have earned money from that offense, and now I am mixing up in my accounts, say bogus share capital or bogus loan. I am mixing up, I am showing it as good money. But the only issue is all three conditions are fulfilled except the first one. Let us check whether first one is fulfilled or not. Whether tax evasion is recognized to be an offense under PMLA. Fortunately or unfortunately, no. Tax evasion as such has not been mentioned in the schedule of PMLA. Then, whether still it can be done, this I will request Khemka ji to take up in his deliberations. Whether where tax evasion can also lead to money laundering in certain circumstances. Now somebody said, doing illegal things. Not doing illegal things, for that he will be punished. Wherever the punishment lies, suppose somebody is doing theft or whatever he is doing, he will be punished. Whatever crimes he is committing, he is punishable for that. For money laundering, these three things have to happen. If you are not disclosing source, whatever consequences any other law gives, applicable law, it will give. But for money laundering to happen, these three things have to happen. And that is what I have explained. But in the definition, section 3, it is stated something like this. So these three stages I have given here. So these are some of the examples, by which money laundering is happened, showing. So what is the law which is governing this money laundering? And who are the authorities? The Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, known in short as PMLA, prohibits and penalizes the money laundering activities in India. Agencies. First of all, Directorate of Enforcement. It has spread all over the country. Head office being at Delhi. And but other offices, zonal offices, regional offices, district offices are there everywhere in the country. Bangalore has also got one. And I don't know if in Karnataka, other places, Vizag has also another office. Sorry, Vizag is in Andhra. So, I don't know in Karnataka if there are some other offices that you would know better. Then, Adjudicating Authority. This authority deals with the attachment side. When the properties are attached, then with regard to that, the petitions, complaints, etc. for the confirmation of the same are filed by the adjudicating authority by the enforcement directorate before the adjudicating authority, and then the agreed party will make their replies before the adjudicating authority, will make representation. Adjudicating authority, which is located at New Delhi, at Jeevandeep building. It has only one bench at Delhi only. Now it is headed by Mr. Pradeep Kumar Upadhyay. He is ex-legal officer, and ideally there should be one chairman, 2 members, but for the reasons best known to our government, both the posts are lying vacant. Only chairman is working, and on one man, the burden of the entire country is on one man. So as a result, what is happening is that out of the 2 things which are more easy and less time consuming, what is done. Option number 1 is that to confirm the order as it is given by the Enforcement Directorate. Option number 2 is that to apply mind and find out if the order given by the Enforcement Directorate is wrong, then it should be reversed and proper reasoning should be given why it is being reversed. So option number 1 takes less time and is very easy to do. So that is being followed as of now in 99.99% of cases. Then the aggrieved party can approach to the appellate tribunal under PMLA for grievances with regard to the attachment of the properties. Again, that bench is comprising of 5 members, headed by Honorable Chairman, Honorable Shri M.N. Bhandari. He is former Chief Justice from Madras High Court and originally from Rajasthan High Court. So he is heading the tribunal, and only bench is at Delhi only, Khan Market, Lok Nayak Bhavan, Khan Market, New Delhi. So there happens proper appellate mechanism, and judicious mind is applied for the first time at this stage. Other than that, it is mechanical application which is happening because of the reasons, as we all know, that executives have the agenda to enforce the law in whatever manner it is possible. So judicial applications happen in this here only, but here also most judicious dispensation is yet to happen because we are in the transitory stage as of now. Then special court. So one action is on the side of attachment, other is on the action side of prosecution of the person for imprisonment. So for that, special courts have been created. In fact, the Court of Sessions have been designated as special court, which does the trial of the scheduled offence as well as the offence of money laundering together. Then we wonder sometimes that why actions done under this law by the ED happen to be so harsh, prove to be so harsh for everybody. Whether a wrongdoer goes there or a person who has not done anything wrong, if he appears there, experience is going to be quite torturous. And this is because of this that web of actions simultaneously happen under PMLA. So investigation, search, suppose takes place by any department, then ED would also join hands, and investigation will start by investigation by the Enforcement Directorate also. So on the left-hand side, you will see that the actions in pursuance to the search, primary search action are taking place. For example, filing complaint for scheduled offence in the jurisdictional court, and then it goes to special court, and then conviction may happen for the scheduled offence or whatever may happen. On the other hand, when the ED joins hands, then ED will start investigation, and then it will run into 2 directions. A, on the side of the special court, that is for prosecution. B, on the side of attachment of property. And attachment of properties will also then go on before the adjudicating authority, and then its confirmation, then appellate tribunal. And on the side of the prosecution side also, if you will notice, the proceedings will start before the Court of Sessions. So simultaneously, at 3 forums, multiplied by many X number of cases, action start happens. So that is why the experience becomes quite vigorous, quite rigorous. Yes, sir. ओके, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले आप कहते कोई क्वेश्चंस नहीं है आपके, देखो कितना प्यारा क्वेश्चन आया है. थोड़ा थोड़ा हिंदी समझते हैं ना, चलेगा ना, चलेगा. ओके, हाउ ब्यूटीफुल दिस क्वेश्चन इज and how ugly my answer is going to be. His question is what are the time limits. So मैं हिंदी में इसको बोलूंगा, समय अनंत है, ना इसका प्रारंभ है ना अंत है. ये श्री कृष्ण ने कहा था गीता में, उसको हमें ध्यान रखना है. They have made these laws timeless beauties and so fantastically done that courts are not able to do anything. For example, this law was enforced in 2002. In fact, its preparation began in 1988 when in the General Assembly UN passed a resolution that all member countries have to enforce this law because money laundering has become a global menace. So resolution passed and India was also a member, so India had also to abide by that. So in 1998 preparations began and 2002 act was notified. A list of scheduled offences was also prepared at that time. So the original thought was that because of the recommendation from the top, the top of the world, this is coming from United Nations, so we have to follow and let us make it for heinous crimes like terrorism, like drug peddling, etc., etc. So another reason, in fact, that reminds me, another reason is for this, while this law has become so harsh, is also for this, that this law was drafted for heinous crimes, right? Now this law is being now enforced even for environmental laws. I'm not saying they are, something which does not require any strict actions, but they cannot be said to be heinous crimes, as heinous as murders, or drug peddling, or human trafficking, or terrorism. They are uncomparable things. Like, because in environmental laws, violations can happen unintended also, beyond my control also. For example, my water treatment plant of my factory stopped functioning. Environmental law violation has taken place. Water pollution control has been violated. But that violation cannot be as heinous as terrorism, as drugs. So the act was brought out for these heinous crimes. But later on, I don't know how these ideas came. At the time, relevant times, in the minds of the people who were at the helm of affairs, I don't want to name them because they become eventually the first victim of this crime only when they were out of the power. So because of those ideas, scheduled offense list was enlarged. So like, suppose you have created a stain gun to kill the most dreaded enemies. And with the stain gun, you started killing mosquitoes also. It's like that. That is what happened in fact. So when the list was enlarged, so suppose some offense, so say this offense of air pollution was added say in 2011, right? Violation of environmental law 2011. And suppose this water treatment plant stopped functioning in say 2009, but cases were filed later on after 2011. So this argument was placed, sir, when I have done that LS scheduled offense, at that time it was not scheduled offense in the list of the schedule. So therefore it was not recognized as scheduled offense. So you cannot create a scheduled offense retrospectively. Right? Very beautiful argument. You know what they have done? They brought out an amendment in 2018 laying down that if you still continue to hold the pursuits of crime, that offense will be treated as continuing offense and accordingly action can take place in this law. And if whatever you have done or not done, whatever has happened thereafter in terms of money, that will still be continuing. That cannot vanish. Suppose out of that you built a factory, you are running your factory, you earn some profit, that profit is somehow, somewhere, it cannot evaporate. So today also, after 50 years also you can say, yes, you are holding that money only. Look, you have building you still have. So that is how, even in these cases, it has become, beyond any time horizons. And what to say of plain simple case when it was scheduled offense? Suppose today scheduled offense is committed. Today scheduled offense is committed. What is the time limit? To catch hold, no time limit. Benami law. Now because of Ganpati, old cases are out for some time. But if today somebody buys a Benami property, right? But you know what is the time limit? Any guess? 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 10 year? Any guess? No time limit. So if it is gifted to his grandson, someday after 100 years his grandson maybe said, look, This property, this is Benami property. Your father has not given you any asset, he has given you liability. Give it back. That is why I was saying that the laws which are being enforced are beyond horizons. Unlearn whatever you have learned so far. We have learned the law of limitation. Please unlearn it. So coming back to that part where I was, proceeds of crime, section 21U. So broadly speaking, Enforcement Directorate has two powers. A, to make attachment of the properties derived from proceeds of crime, and B, prosecuting the person. So let us understand what are the proceeds of crime, what are the powers of attachment, and let us also understand how he can be prosecuted. So first part I will be touching upon, second part Khemka sir will be touching upon. Proceeds of crime means any property derived or obtained directly or indirectly by any person as a result of criminal activity relating to a scheduled offence, or the value of any such property, or where such property is taken or held outside the country, then the property equivalent in the value held within the country or abroad. Now this language is drafted very small, crisp, but it has also given various dubious interpretations. On one aspect is the burning aspect, that whether the unconnected properties can also be attached. If a property is purchased, it is invested somewhere, that somewhere can also be attached, that somewhere has gone somewhere else, that somewhere else can be also attached. But if that property has vanished, not available, lost in casino, whether unconnected properties, maybe acquired decades ago, maybe inherited from grandfather, whether that can also be attached. According to me, no, the scheme of the act is no. Because the law again and again says property involved in money laundering only can be attached. If the properties are not found to be money laundering, involved in money laundering, that has to be released by the special court and by the executive authority and by the appellate tribunal. Law is clear. But the interpretation given by the Enforcement Directorate is, no sir, we can attach any property. We are the super boss today. And that is what is happening. And that is why the actions have become too harsh. Purpose of the law was to prohibit the proceeds of crime. So if the proceeds of crime are not available, then prohibit the offender only by imprisonment. Property matter is over. But they are treating it like, recovering it like tax recovery, which they are not. For tax recovery, law is clear. If you do not pay the tax, we can recover from any state of yours. It is not tax law, but they being enforced like tax law also. The schedule offense I am leaving because Khemka ji will take up. PMLA defines the offense of money laundering under section 3. This is the formal definition. Whosoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assists or knowingly is a party or is actually involved in any process or activity connected with proceeds of crime, including its concealment, possession, acquisition or use, and projecting or claiming as untainted property, shall be guilty of offense of money laundering. So definition से बहुत कुछ क्लियर नहीं हो रहा है, frankly speaking. मुझे तो नहीं होता, पता नहीं क्या कहना चाहते थे, क्या कह दिया, I don't know. But इतना मतलब समझ में आया कि तीन चीजें तो होनी जरूरी हैं जो मैंने बोली है. 1, 2, this word "and" is being removed with the help of an explanation, which I think they cannot, because "and" is necessary. Third condition is very essential, that somebody should project that it is proceeds of crime. Without projection, mere earning of proceeds of crime will not make it money laundering. That can at the most make him liable for punishment under scheduled offense. Sir, you are saying something. What, sir? Not formally in the manner which I have said.
So,
but from somewhere, some understanding can be developed. That is what exactly I was coming to this point. You are asking a very pertinent question, that this word "and" is essential. Now, the manner in which ED is portraying its cases today is, कि sir, this person did a crime and he earned some money. That's it. That is proceeds, that is money laundering. I am saying no, please come one step more, that the tainted money is being shown as untainted. That step should also be done. On that, debate is going on. And the debate has become somewhat tilted in their favor because of this explanation which has been added with effects from 1/8/2019. Kindly read that on the slide. Kindly see the word or has been added now. In clause D, after the word use, word or has been added. This is what is creating problem. Whereas in the main section, the word and remains. Right? This is the problem. So that is how I have listed out this. According to me, these 3 stages have to be there. In whatever manner, 3rd stage is said to be complete. I and Khemka ji is also debating on this point. And we also keep on changing our opinion on this because the way law has been drafted. I am trying to convince Khemka ji that 3rd stage is very essential. Khemka ji is saying now, after this explanation, and the moment these 2 things happen, money laundering automatically happens. So, I mean, the law is vague and we are not reaching anywhere precisely.
So there was no opportunity to discuss these 3 stages in any High Court or Supreme Court.
In fact, sir, what has happened is, as I said, this law is not being properly explained to the judiciary by the professionals. For whatever reasons, neither they are giving opportunity nor we are seeking opportunity. Sir, kindly allow us to explain to you this subject properly. That is why lack of clarity is still happening.
Thank you.
Now, another very, very important area is investigation under section 50. Khemka sir, on the behalf of these chartered accountant brothers and sisters of mine, I would say that this is the area where we may be required to help our clients. And the investigation under section 50 is quite different from investigation under income tax. So how that has to be handled well? What are the responsibilities, liabilities, duties, rights? What manner it can be handled safe and sound, if you can touch upon that aspect also. Investigation under section 50 is another area which is very grey area, proves to be very, very torturous. I'm not saying torturous for those who have done the wrong. I'm saying torturous even for those who have not done anything wrong, because they have to prove that they have not done anything wrong. Because of misunderstanding of section 24 of PMLA, which says, according to the ED, that burden is on the accused to prove that he is not accused. Whereas according to my understanding, burden is not wholesome. Khemka ji will also simultaneously take up section 24 also. Then original application is filed whenever some seizure happens in the search, and the department files application in the adjudicating authority for continuation of that seizure. So we file our reply to the original application. Look, now it need not be continued, kindly return it to us. Properties are attached. Enforcement Directorate would file petition to the application to the complaint to the adjudicating authority that kindly continue the attachment of the properties. We are given opportunity by the adjudicating authority to file our reply. No, it is not property involved in money laundering, so kindly release, order for release of the property. So the order is given under section 8. The attachment is done under section 5 of PMLA by the ED. Order is given under section 8. Proceedings are done under section 8 by the adjudicating authority, against which appeal can be filed before the appellate tribunal at New Delhi. This I am skipping. This I have already dealt with. Now, these are the judgments in our favor, that unconnected properties need not be attached. One is from Punjab Haryana High Court, other from Andhra Pradesh High Court. Even in the case of Vijay Madan Lal, the landmark judgment of Supreme Court, this aspect has been touched upon. And the crux which comes out is unconnected properties should not be attached. In some other paras, some other confusion is happening. So ED is reading those paras. So ED is reading those paras where confusion is happening. We are trying to read those paras where Supreme Court is clearly saying that unconnected properties should not be attached. So again, law is in limbo. Section 24 I am skipping. This I have already dealt with. Interplay. So 15 minutes I would devote on interplay, maybe less than that, and then I think we can have tea break and then session by Khemka ji. As I said, the most burdensome thing of this law is, or under these laws is, that they are all interconnected. In fact, that reminds me of the universal saying, which you must have heard sometimes it is said practically, sometimes it is said spiritually, that all is interconnected. Must have heard? So here that you can see stark reality of that saying, that all is interconnected. One thing leads to the other in a manner, in a subtle manner, but such a strong manner. Instead of tea, can you give me water? Okay. Achha, you are not bringing tea for me. Okay. I thought you were bringing something for me. ओके कानून की और कानून को इंप्लीमेंट करने वाले की नजरें देखो कितनी शार्प, और इतनी चाहिए नजर शार्प, जब भी सोल्यूशन मिलेगी. और एक्चुअली सच्चाई भी यही है. समटाइम्स सोल्यूशन इज जस्ट बिहाइंड यू, टू जस्ट लुक एट इट एंड जस्ट कैच होल्ड ऑफ इट. इस लॉ में भी है सोल्यूशन जस्ट बिहाइंड इट. हम लोग देख नहीं रहे हैं, बस हमें उसको देखना है, सही तरीके से सामने रखना है. एंड कोर्ट्स आर बाउंड टू डू जस्टिस. बट कोर्ट क्या कहती है? हमारे सामने जो चीज लाएंगे हम उसी को देखेंगे बस. दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम. That is where the solution lies, that we have to understand, we have to present the things properly, proper trail, financial trail we have to give. Proper transaction we have to explain to the court. Before that, proper understanding which we need to have. What is right, what is wrong? We have to distinguish it. It is not that everything has been debarred. The law just wants us, the government just wants us to behave properly. That's it. So what is the new coded behavior? That we have to understand. So I was on interplay, how one thing is interconnected with the other in these laws, one thing leads to the other. I will explain with the help of few examples. Such takes place, and during the course of such, it was on the big businessman having a business empire in the city, well-known figure. So his business was getting disrupted. So finally that agreement happened, okay, I will make offer for payment of additional tax on say amount of rupees 25 crores. And you kindly conclude the search. Search was concluded. So breakup was prepared of that 25 crores. And one of the items in that breakup was share capital treated as bogus, which was bogus, received from Messrs. B Limited. The name of the SSC search person was Mr. R. So share capital was received from B Limited into the company R Limited, in which Mr. R was shareholder and director. So okay, tax was paid, matter ended, or that is what Mr. R thought, that matter has ended. Because within 1 month, another notice comes from, this time from Benami Prohibition Unit, inviting Mr. R for recording of statement that, look, you have said in the statement recorded by investigation wing of the income tax department, they are all connected, investigation wing, Benami Prohibition Unit. So you have said there that so this share capital from B Limited is bogus. So he thinks, yes, I have said and I have paid tax on this. So raising his collars up, he goes for recording of the statement before the initiating officer of PPU, and his statement starts, okay, you have admitted like this, yes sir, I have paid the tax also. You have treated it as admitting it as bogus, yes sir, okay. So that means you have paid cash to B Limited, handed over cash, and in lieu of cash, sum of rupees 10 crores by way of check has been given to R Limited by Messrs. B Limited. Is it so? So suddenly can he say no? And his silence will not convert it into no. So that means impliedly yes. Now as if snake has bitten him. Now he goes into shivering. He understands that he is probably landing into something unexpected. So that means now further proceedings, IO completes on his behalf. Okay, answer is this, answer is this, answer is this. So that means B Limited gave check to R Limited. R Limited in lieu of that handed over the share certificates to B Limited, and B Limited handed over certificates to you because he does not have any real capacity. And R Limited had deposited that money in the bank account and invested in the office building also of that amount, part amount. Answer to every question is yes. You know what he does? He makes attachment of, first of all, that building, then amount lying in bank account, then share certificates. And then also hands over one notice for prosecution under section 53A of PBPT. Upon whom? Upon B Limited, upon R Limited, upon directors of R Limited. Not only R, his wife also. And on that, Mr. R has already paid tax. The 10 crores के ऊपर टैक्स पहले से दे दिया. 10 crores का पूरा वहाँ अमाउंट बैंक अकाउंट में जो पड़ा था, that is also attached. The building is also attached. Now, whosoever is having a little knowledge of PBPT Act, kindly tell me what is illegal here. How shall you defend him? In income tax, he has already admitted, tax is paid. Sorry? Yes. Yes. So that is why he had to pay tax on that. Now, because he did a Benami transaction, now the allegation is that the share certificates which are held by B Limited of R Limited are Benami. Real owner is Mr. R. So R is treated as beneficial owner. And B is treated as Benamidar. And share certificates are Benami property attached. Amount lying in bank account, Benami property attached. Office building, Benami property attached. This is the apparent case of interplay between tax laws, Benami law. But he did not say so. He said this is bogus. You know, biggest enemy of a human being. Remind me, Shri Krishna has already said. Biggest enemy of a human being. Any guess? Sorry? Karma.
Krishna said karma hits back.
He said the biggest enemy is he himself. His biggest enemy is he himself. His biggest friend is he himself. So he himself admitted it is bogus. Now how shall he reverse? Sir, gone are the days. You are talking about Article 20 bracket 1, 20 bracket 3, gone are the days. And that is what under section 50, I want Khemka sir to take up that task. How you have to deal with that situation. Because statement recorded under section 50 of PMLA is, because proceedings before this IU under section officer under PMLA is treated as judicial proceedings. So if these are judicial proceedings, whether the statement recorded under section 50 shall be binding upon him. Because statement recorded before police is not binding. But these are treated as judicial proceedings. Whether these will be binding, answer will be yes. So, proceedings before the police are not binding because he exercises force, coercion, threat. That is why law says no, not binding. ED officer is also using these three elements and maybe some new element innovated by ED. Fourth also. But here, these are binding. That is why I say this is a new legal era. Things have changed. Something which is not binding, originally, conceptually, morally, socially, legally, has been made binding. So you have to also realign and rethink. That is precisely where I am hitting at. Similarly, anti-money laundering law, Benami law, tax, all these three have connect. Because in this process, if the person has done some scheduled offense also, apart from this Benami, he will be dragged if the source of that 10 crores is, say, some fraud. Then PMLA will also come into picture.
Whether it can start from Income Tax Act or any other act, there is also a provision so that it can start from there as well.
Very rightly said. You are reaching on the point. That is where the problem is. It begins from here, small dot, reaches there. You know, this significant beneficial owner thing is what? I'll tell you. under now new norms under Companies Act 2013, there is a requirement that every company has to report to ROC the real beneficial owners of the registered shareholders, who are the persons. Companies are expected and statutorily obliged to give this report to the company. I mean, the shareholders are obliged to give to the company, and company in turn to ROC. Now, the moment this information is furnished, that is enabling compliance of the Companies Act 2013. But that enabling provision is inviting action from the Benami law, BPU units. So that compliance will not give you immunity, rather make you immediately liable under Benami law, liable for action. They are not saying that by reporting this, suppose you report, they say that law is this, okay, whenever you jump the red light, we will take photograph and we will come to know. Or you yourself report that you have jumped the red light. So the moment you jump, or yet they take photograph, that does not mean you are immune from the action. That means only information has come. Now we need to do what is to be done with this information. And if you do not do this information, then you will be punishable for other actions also, and this violation also. So that is where the things are coming so tight, so heavy. That is why I am saying that now we need to realign ourselves. When I say ourselves means we as a citizen, we as a professional, we as a, so that we can take care of our clients also. So in our personal capacity, professional capacity, both we have to realign. Then this is that case study, that water treatment plant stopped functioning. And you see what happened? Water treatment plant was repaired, Pollution Control Board did not do anything, but after a few years, ED comes into picture. I said, where from money has come? The order explained something like this, that water plant did not work, unauthorized discharge into river happened, excess discharge happened, that means excess production happened, excess production was illegal production gave rise to illegal sales gave rise to illegal profit has been invested into factory building is derived from proceeds of crime, we are attaching it. That's it, attachment order came. 500 workers are working there. Offense क्या है? कि साहब मेरा वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट काम नहीं किया कुछ टाइम, गलती हो गई. Consequences so harsh. So that is why I also say this thing, that the doctrine of proportionality has also lost in enforcement of these laws. Now, the slide which you might be waiting for. Right? So as I said, we are persons who have been trained under financial laws. So why not to make best use of our training, our skill? So, and where the handicap of the other side is, that is of the judges who are trained in civil criminal laws, and the lawyers who are handling in civil criminal laws, they do not understand nitty-gritties of finance. And here the main role is of finance, first of all, ki what is the proceeds of crime, how it has traveled, where it has traveled, where it is invested, where not. Suppose if in a default, in a case where the bank default has happened and the ticket size was say 1,000 crores, the debtor, the borrower, wherever he has spent the money, that 1,000 crore which has become default money, because the bank is alleging it is, the loan is obtained by fraud, so scheduled offense has happened, so therefore loan obtained by way of scheduled offense, by way of fraud, becomes proceeds of crime, it is liable to be attached. So wherever this amount of rupees 1,000 crore has traveled through that borrower company, big corporate, that is all liable to be attached. Now, who can handle it? I don't think our legal fraternity can handle it in themselves, by themselves. We need to pitch in, and we are not pitching in. That is why these disastrous results are coming. We need to prepare in this manner. I have listed out some steps, identifying the source of attached properties and differentiating it with alleged POC, identifying loan utilization in the attached property, calculation of correct value of any alleged POC, valuation of property attached in comparison with alleged POC, proper financial accounting analysis, preparation of money trail for the attached properties to demarcate the sources of funds. So that only wherever the wrong has happened, that can be decided. Now I think these things with regard to financial action task force, I am skipping. And I am also skipping today the things with regard to the obligations of the professionals with regard to reporting entities. I don't know whether you people have been told about it or not, that huge onerous responsibilities have come up. Kindly go through notification dated 3rd May 2023 and 9th May 2023, which specifically talks about chartered accountants, that if you are doing these kind of transactions, then you have to maintain these kinds of records. Yes, brother, you were saying something.
And the business has been done for 1,000 crores. So, and the net profit generated is roughly around, let's say, 20 crores. So proceeds of crime is 1,000 crores, 20 crores or 100 crores.
You are saying that loan amount is 1,000 crores?
Loan amount is 100 crores.
Okay.
Business has done, a business has started with that 100 crores and the business has done a turnover of 1,000 crores.
Turnover 1,000 crores.
And the profit is 20 crores.
Yeah. No clarity. They will attach everything. No clarity. What they can attach is only the amount illegally obtained and invested somewhere. Now the allegation is going to be the business has been done with this amount only. So entire business becomes illegal. So we will attach the profit also. But what they are doing as of now is wherever these 100 crores have traveled, that is being attached. In some cases, like the case study which I read, they attach profits also. So because of lack of clarity, lack of guidelines, whatever comes their way, they are attached.
Generally turnover is higher, so
No, turnover may be higher, but the amount invested, suppose to do that business, say no other amount has been brought in by the partners. So this is the only, this amount of loan was utilized. So they will say with this only you have done business. So entire profit becomes illegal. But suppose their capital is also say 500 crores, then as a chartered accountant you can argue, sir, only 20% is borrowing from outside. So to the extent of 20% only you can attach the profit. So all these things are missing because no chartered accountant is there in the picture. So whatever they feel like they do, nobody is able to give answer to them. That is what precisely I am raising the point. Now this question came to your mind. In nobody's mind this question comes even.
okay, thanks.
So the irony is, I will sum up in one line how we should do now. Let me close it now. Earlier the responsibility was that I have to do the things rightly. Right? And if I am doing the things rightly, that's enough. Now there is a little improvement in that from the legal enforcement side or the legislative side. That I have to do the things right. Right means legally right. A, that remains. B has been added. That I have to also prove that whatever I am doing is right, legally right. And to do that, I have to keep with me requisite documents, evidences, information which can be asked by any agency at any given point of time. So this additional responsibility which has come up, the clients in themselves cannot discharge. That is why who has escaped, escaped, who has caught is badly facing the music. And that is why our roles should start.
But ED says it is a black money.
Okay?
So he attached the property.
Okay.
He is not only restricting to that particular flat, he is restricting the entire project.
Yes.
He says it is also invested in this property, so I can attach entire property. What's the consequences?
Look, your question was whether it can be done, or your question is what is the consequence? Consequence is well known to everybody.
No, sir. It can be done or not.
Yes, this should be the question. Now to answer this question, first of all, I need to know what are the facts of this case. Why these proceedings arose. Proceedings do not, whatever I may be speaking that harsh actions have happened, which is true also, but I have not seen any action without any cause. There must be some cause, some scheduled offense happening somewhere, some connect of the person to that person who has done the scheduled offense in some manner, some allegations rightly or wrongly made against that person, and on the basis of that only it can be decided to what extent the burden still needs to be discharged by ED, or the entire burden has been shifted upon you to prove that whatever you have received is the clean money.
My responsibility is restricted to whatever the money received. I given the details, but it is not satisfying. ED says, why you have collected money from them?
No, I am saying when ED has come into picture, sir, there would be somebody against whom the proceedings are happening.
Yes,
and
sir.
there must be some reasons proving nexus of that somebody, some wrongdoer, with this person who is in receipt of money. So if the connect is there and it is ostensibly shown, then the burden is upon you to show that it is not like that. If no connect is there, they are not showing anything, then of course you have to say, no sir, it is clean money. Then law will not accept whatever it is saying.
Giving the details, not as per the, whether he has investigated, false claiming, all those things I cannot do. I'm not having sufficient information.
No. As I said, section 24 is very important under PMLA, which talks about burden of proof. And it is commonly said that under PMLA law, the burden is reversed. So our constitution is based on the concept that a person is innocent unless proved guilty, and the burden to prove guilty is upon the person who is alleging him to be guilty. But this principle has been compromised under PMLA, that is what is commonly said, and section 24 is also conveying something like that. Whether it is fully true, absolutely true, or not, to what extent true, Khemka ji will elaborate. But you have to keep it in mind while dealing those proceedings. That is precisely where Khemka ji will answer this question. Section 24, how you have to handle it.
Yes, sir.
Section 50, this whatever is happening, this must be happening under section 50 only.
Yes,
The
sir.
notice under section 50 of
Yes, sir.
PMLA or under FEMA.
Under FEMA as well as PLMA.
So if it is under PMLA also, then it has to be carefully handled.
Because it's a foreign currency, they say that it is comes under the FEMA. RBI issued notice, PLMA has issued notice, ED has issued notice.
Then why are you saying as well as under PMLA?
Sir,
Then
it is
these
money
proceedings
laundering.
Must be FEMA, under FEMA.
FEMA.
Approach is going to be different under FEMA and PMLA.
Yes, sir.
Enforcement agency may be same. And whenever you appear, they will talk about PMLA,
PMLA.
not about FEMA. Whereas
Yes,
he is
sir.
authorized under FEMA. But to scare you, he will talk about PMLA. But you have to distinguish whether the proceedings are under PMLA or FEMA, because your burden is different under PMLA and FEMA.
Yes, sir.
So we need to know those facts. And then
Okay, sir.
accordingly, appropriately take up the action.
Thank you, sir.
So, thank you very much. Now,
Sir, last question,
I think
sir.
I will hand over mic back to.
Sir, one last question.
Let
With
us keep
res-
it for next session. It will be first question of the next session.
okay, it's regarding to PMLA only.
Okay.
So regarding the responsibilities of chartered accountants you had
Yes, sir.
discussed, there is a notification which has come in May 23, and also it's appearing in our SSP login also, where there are 53 red flag instructions, indicators which have been given, and it is only illustrative. So what will be our responsibility in reporting, and also there are penalty clauses if we are not reporting, what I understand from going through notification. If you can throw a light on that, it will be good, sir.
We need to have full dedicated session on that. We need to be careful. Maybe this burden or this threat is converted into an opportunity. Why I'm saying opportunity? Believe me, client will start giving you a lot of importance after enforcement of these laws. Because now his financial life is in your hands. If you report this transaction to the designated agencies, he will be in trouble. If you by mistake wrongly report it, and if you correctly report it and he is not adhering to the law, then also he will be in trouble. So on many things he will be dependent upon you. He cannot go to any other professional, because the law has made every profession liable for reporting such kind of transactions, those particular transactions. Therefore, this is the time to build your own place, your existence, your value, your worth before the client. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll have the formal vote of thanks after the next session together along with. So Mr. Khemka is suggesting that we can continue without the tea break. Is that all right? No, they need a tea break, sir. The silence is saying it. So we'll assemble back at 12 o'clock. Please be on time. Thank you, members.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bangalore branch, for inviting us and giving us this great opportunity to interact with all of you in such good numbers. But for last 2 hours, something is disturbing me. That probably you people are thinking that there are some seats reserved in the front. They are reserved for you only. So may I request the people sitting in the back rows to come in front, because for our sake. Yes.
चार्जिंग नहीं है
क्या हुआ?
चार्जर
नहीं, ये नहीं लगाना है आपको पास में, मैंने वो भेजा है. It is better to interact with your fellow brothers and sisters, and it would be better if we can also see you. I requested them to dim these lights so that we can actually see you. Can you just switch them off? Yeah. It's not working. I would also like to know that how many of you are practicing, forget about PMLA, how many of you are practicing or assisting or dealing with? It's all right. It's all right. How many of you are practicing in the prosecution side of, say, income tax? Any one of you is doing prosecution matters of income tax? Okay. So the problem actually lies there. Why the chartered accountant community is not conscious about these new age laws is because you people have ignored chapter 22 of Income Tax Act itself. And I'll take you to that how important it is for you to be dealing with and to be associated and to be involved in that aspect also. Those times are gone where you could take the prosecution even under the Income Tax Act lightly. Today there are more and more prosecutions being launched by the department. There are prosecutions being launched under the PVPT Act, prosecutions being launched under the Black Money Act, and of course the prosecutions under the money laundering, the PMLA. So, and believe you me, none of these can be handled by the lawyers like Mr. Jain and me alone. We do need the chartered accountants. After all, you people are the people who know the law, know the finances. It is only a very little portion of it, and that is how to deal with it in the criminal courts is our domain. And this is what I am here to, in fact, me and Taneja sir are here to share with you that first of all, let us talk a little bit about the basics of the law, and then how to form a team, how to handle these matters, how to handle these cases, and what can be the contribution of the chartered accountant community in that. So friends, to begin with, I will, as Taneja sir asked me to do, to go to the basic of what is money laundering. I am not getting into the definition. I am not getting into the explanation. I am straight away coming to as to what we have understood from money, what is money laundering. And To an extent, in the judgment of Vijay Madan Lal, in the last year only, the Supreme Court has also given some definition, some proper recognition to the explanation. And basing upon that, I will just share with you what exactly is money laundering. The first step for the offense of money laundering is, but it's not working. And not every offense, only one of the offenses which has been enlisted in a Schedule 2 PMLA. The Prevention of Money Laundering Act contains a schedule, and that schedule enlists certain offenses from different provisions, from IPC, from NDPS, from Environment Protection Act, from UAPA and others. One of those offenses ought to have been committed. This is the first step. The second is that commission of offense must have resulted in generation of proceeds of crime. Something must have been generated out of it. And the third step is that it should have been used, possessed. And this is the third step, which is money laundering. One can kindly see the words here: concealment, possession, acquisition, use, and projecting and claiming it as untended property. Now, friends, the debate which Taneja sir referred to was that whether this end is essential or not, whether projecting and claiming it to be untended property is essential or not for the offense of money laundering. One of the interpretations is, kindly see the word possession. Now somebody commits the offense, gets the money, puts it in his bed, and then he says, no, I have not tried to claim it as untainted money. Can it be said that he is not involved in money laundering? This is one aspect of it. The second interpretation being given, and it is still debate is on, debate is not closed. Even Supreme Court has not closed it, even after giving such a long judgment in Vijay. The other is that even if he was keeping it, even if it was in his possession, even if it was lying under his bed, he has still not used it. He has still not projected it as an untainted money. So you are actually punishing him for the same crime. Because the possession can be with the perpetrator of crime himself. To be on the safer side, at the moment we will believe that even the possession would constitute the offense. Even not claiming it to be proceeds of crime will constitute the offense, because it has not been done in so many words. It has not been clarified so. Now, why I have given you these three stages? All of you have to understand there are 2-3 questions which arise. Whether unaccounted money or money on which the tax has been evaded, can that be the subject matter of money laundering? The answer is no. Just because the tax has been evaded, if those proceeds have been generated from, say for example, somebody is doing a business. He earns that money from that business and does not pay tax. Then this money, these proceeds cannot be the subject matter of money laundering. I'll come to when it can become the subject matter of money laundering. But fundamentally, just because tax has been evaded, if it is unaccounted money, what Taneja ji says is that he categorizes it is black money, and the money which is proceeds of crime is red money. So black money fundamentally cannot be the subject matter of money laundering. It is only the red money. It is only the money, red is crime, red denotes crime, red denotes blood. So it is the red money which can be the subject matter of offense of money laundering. We have been living in an age of uncertainty so far as this law is concerned for almost 20 years now. Vijay Madan Lal's judgment of Supreme Court was a fresh, to some extent, a good breath of good air. So some certain things have been clarified there. Those will help us in understanding the whole concept, whole fundamental. One of the things which they said was that authorities under the Act cannot resort to action on an assumption unless an offense has been registered. So it is not that the authorities under that is the ED, can say that this money has been earned by you by committing this offense. No. There ought to be an FIR registered of that offense, the first prerequisite which I said. Unless that FIR is registered, unless that at least the investigation of that is going on, the Enforcement Directorate does not get the jurisdiction under PML. So this is one good thing which has happened after this judgment. The second thing which they said was that if a FIR of scheduled offense is registered, the investigation takes place, and the person is absolved, then also ED cannot continue with the investigation under PMLA. Then the very basis, the law of money laundering is a piggybacking offense. It has to piggyback on a scheduled offense. So if the basis itself goes, if the scheduled offense itself goes, the allegation of scheduled offense itself goes, the question of money laundering will not arise. This is, as we were discussing, projection as untainted, not necessary. So Vijay Madan Lal, rather than clarifying it, we have our disagreements with this, because unless something more is done after the commission of the offense, it is not proper to punish a person for the same act twice. A thief has stolen the property. He's just running away with it. You punish him for theft. But an ED officer comes in the way and says, oh, you have the possession. But unfortunately, the Supreme Court says that claiming it to be the laundering itself is not required. You need not try to wash it off. There may not be any attempt to change the color of money. Then Supreme Court also says in Vidyamadhan Lal that suppose an investigation is being done by ED of another offense with X person. While that investigation is going on, ED finds that there are proceeds of crime of Y person also, of Z offense. Earlier what they were doing, they would include that case also in the investigation of the earlier case. But now the Supreme Court says, sorry, if you find that another offense was committed and the proceeds of crime of another offense are also there, then please go to the police, inform them of that offense, let them register a fresh case, and then take the jurisdiction, then get the jurisdiction. We have all known that law, as we are all students of law in one way or the other. We have all known that the prosecution must stand on its own legs. We have all read, we have all heard, we all know it. But with these new age laws, a practice has been started to cover up the incompetence of the investigating agencies by inducting reverse burden of proof. And that is why it is very essential that we understand what is the reverse burden and how much is the reverse burden. I'll have to take you back to the definition. That was the main purpose for which I gave you the three-stage definition of money laundering. The first stage is the commission of the offense, one of the scheduled offenses. The second is generation of proceeds of crime. And third stage is money laundering. Friends, it is not as if the officer of the enforcement directorate says, oh, this is the money with you, prove that you have not committed the money laundering. No. The first two stages, the commission of scheduled offense, generation of proceeds of crime, are the responsibilities, are the onus is on the prosecution. Onus is on them. It is only in the third stage that the laundering has not been done. I did not know, for example, that suppose a friend gives a packet of money to somebody. Okay, give it to such and such person. Now this person can always say, this person can always discharge this onus by merely saying, it may be a proceeds of crime, it may be the result of a crime. But this person can only say that, sir, I did not know that the money which is contained in this envelope are proceeds of crime. So the onus which is reverse, which is on this person, is only to disprove the third stage and not the first two stages. Fortunately, in the case of Vijay Madan Lal, the Supreme Court has accepted this position and has crystallized it. For your benefit, I'll just read it because it's very interesting. The legal presumption about the involvement of proceeds of crime or in money laundering can be made by the authorities only when the prosecution establishes three foundational facts. First, the criminal activity related to the scheduled offense has been committed. Second, that the property in question has been derived or obtained directly or indirectly by any person as a result of that criminal activity. Third, the person concerned is directly or indirectly involved in any process or activity connected with the said property being proceeds of crime. So this reverse burden is only 1/3 in size. Though the practice with ED is that even in courts, even they try to impress upon the courts that the whole onus is on them. And there is actually a history to that. Till 2013, the section 24 was different. It actually said that the accused will have to prove that the property in his possession is untainted. So that was a different situation where you had to prove that it is not proceeds of crime. But now, after the amendment in 2013, the situation is entirely different, and which has been now crystallized by the judgment of Vijay Madan Lal. It is because of this reverse burden, it is because of this, one of the reasons why PML is considered as dreaded. It is necessary for all of you to understand this, because after all, you are dealing with money as auditors, as income tax practitioners, and the recent reporting notification, which makes every citizen of this country as reporting entity, including the professionals, makes it mandatory for you to report if there is a suspicious transaction. So if you do not have at least a bird's eye view of these laws, how do you identify a suspicious transaction? Suspicious transaction, you have to understand that if there is any factor which shows to you that it could be a proceeds of crime, then you ought to check whether that crime could be one of the scheduled offenses and report the same. Now, interestingly, when I started, I said that you cannot ignore Chapter 22 of Income Tax Act, which is a practice amongst chartered accountants to ignore. Friends, why? Because this reverse burden exists even in Income Tax Act. It exists in Black Money Act also. This is the reverse burden. Section 278E, presumption as to culpable mental state. As all of you must be knowing that there can't be an offense without mens rea. And I'll take you to, as an example, through some of the provisions. Certain offenses specified in Income Tax Act, they clearly say the willful attempt to evade tax, for example. So wherever there is a mental faculty, mental state required, the mens rea will be presumed. Once the department proves the foundational facts, the onus will shift upon the assessee or the accused to prove that there was no intention to do it. It was out of ignorance. That is the law, and in my opinion, it is more draconian than PMLA. There is an identical provision in Black Money Act, identical, word by word. Same provision exists in Black Money Act, that court will presume the mens rea. Now this is one of the examples. What is that mental state? If a person willfully attempts in any manner whatsoever to evade tax, penalty or interest chargeable or imposable under so and so. So this word willfully is presumed. If the department can show that there was evasion of tax, payment evasion to pay the tax or penalty, then in that case, it will be presumed that there was a mens rea, and the onus will shift upon the accused. And friends, what is willful attempt to evade tax? Where any person has in his possession or control books or other documents containing false entry. False entry in books and documents, these offenses under chapter 22 are not scheduled offenses under PMLA. None of them. But there can be a situation where, while evading tax, a person might create a forged document, a forged bill. Now, forgery is one of the scheduled offenses in the PMLA. So the 276C itself may not be the scheduled offense. However, the process to commit an offense under 276C may involve one of the scheduled offenses, such like forgery. And which may attract the provisions of PMLA. There is an identical provision to 276C in Black Money Act, where the evasion of tax, penalty or interest is in respect of undisclosed foreign asset or income. Then in that case, words are identical, however the punishment is much more. But why I want to tell you this is because Section 51 of Black Money Act is one of the scheduled offences under PMLA. So while evasion of tax punishable by 276C may not be per se, it may not generate proceeds of crime. However, evasion of tax under Section 51 in respect of foreign asset or income may attract the provisions of PMLA as well. And friends, while I am on 51, let me also take you to 49 and 50 of Black Money Act itself. The interesting thing here is that while Section 51 is attracted in a situation where the tax is evaded in respect of foreign asset or income, 49 and 50 make it punishable merely on non-disclosure of any asset or income which is foreign. That foreign asset or income may not attract any tax. It may be completely legal. You may have acquired it with the money on which you have paid tax in India. You have transferred it under LRS. Or somebody has gone to study abroad and opened a bank account. And after returning and after having become the resident, forgets that bank account. The person becomes liable for prosecution under 49 and 50 of Black Money Act, just because he does not disclose it. It may be completely legal, completely tax paid, completely hard-earned asset or income. I'll just skip this. This I have already dealt with, that while dealing with, as I've told you, 51 is Black Money Act, of Black Money Act is a scheduled offense. Other offenses might be committed while committing an offense under Income Tax Act and which may attract PMLA. Now friends, there is yet another provision under PBPT which makes it punishable under Section 53. All Benami transactions are punishable. However, the good news is that not all Benami transactions are punishable. There are only 3 types of Benami transactions which are punishable under Section 53. The first type is if a Benami transaction was committed to defeat the provisions of a law. Second is to avoid payment of statutory dues. And third is to avoid payment to creditors. You might be knowing that this draconian cum funny law which goes against the ethos of this country. In this country, when a son purchases his first property, he wants to buy it in the name of his mother. Not only sons, even daughters, because they have seen in many cases that their mother never held a property. So they put the name of the mother, they buy it in her name. They tell the mother that whatever I have earned, the first property I want to buy in your name. And then he puts the name of her mother on the nameplate, because it was always his father's name on the nameplate. Do you know, friends, that this property is liable to attachment? It is Benami. This is this great law which has been introduced in this country. But fortunately, this transaction will not be punishable under Section 53. Because there is no intention to evade any provision of law, there is no intention to avoid statutory dues, and there is no intention to avoid payment to creditors. However, this property still would be liable to attachment. This son has committed the great offense of Benami transaction. While I am on this, suppose your son is abroad. He says, Mom or Dad, I want to buy a property in India, but you buy it in your name. He sends the money, you buy the property in your name, put it on rent, pay tax, and then transfer that balance rent into his account. The property is liable to attachment, though you will still not be prosecuted. These are the funny laws today, and therefore, and because of that, me and Taneja ji travel from Delhi to share this knowledge with you people. You ought to go through these, you ought to read them, you ought to be aware of them. Times are gone when you could be ignorant about them. These are only some of the examples. These are only some of the illustrations. There are many other which we face every day, because this is what is our bread and butter too. And with the new compliance, with the reporting norms, it might be your duty even to report them. Friends, fortunately, under the Income Tax Act, Black Money Act, or Benami, PVPT, there are no provisions for arrest. Because all these three are administered by Income Tax Department, and no powers of arrest have been given to the Income Tax Department, fortunately. Although when they do the search, they tell the SSCs, I have heard, that we will arrest you if you don't give this statement. But they do not have any powers of arrest. However, under PMLA, for the offense of money laundering, the ED has draconian powers of arrest. The Act has tried to give it a semblance of reason. The Act has tried to put a balancing act by saying that the officer concerned will record the reason for his belief that the person is guilty of offense of money laundering before arrest. And the law also said that the person will be informed of the grounds of arrest. However, till few months ago, all the courts of this country were saying that neither these reasons to the reason to believe nor the grounds will be communicated to the accused in writing. It is only few months ago Supreme Court has now said that it will be given in writing to the person arrested so that he can take his remedy. Again, a clarification has come from Supreme Court that it need not be given immediately at the time of arrest, it can be given in 24 hours. So the long rope from our honorable courts is always available to this one department. As Taneja sir told you that during the whole of COVID period, only one department apart from the essential supplies and security which was working, it was only Enforcement Directorate. Then I may not take you through the bail provision, which again is a very draconian power, which contains twin conditions and all. That's again a topic which is very controversial. Now, sanction for prosecution. Friends, offenses under all the three acts which are administered by or implemented by Income Tax Department require prior sanction before the prosecution can be initiated. However, no sanction is required under PMLA for initiation of prosecution. The prosecution is launched by way of a prosecution complaint in the respective special courts. Every act has its own special court where these offenses are tried. Now, there is no provision for a prior show cause notice before the sanction is granted. None of these laws says that a show cause notice has to be given. However, Income Tax Department, as a matter of practice, is giving a show cause notice before the sanction is granted. We have come across replies by lawyers, by chartered accountants. With all due respect, we can say, were totally unthoughtful. Maybe because of lack of knowledge, maybe because of lack of practice, maybe because somebody thought that it is not his cup of tea. I want to call your attention to this very serious issue. This person who has received the notice of prosecution from the sanctioning authority, whom does he approach? He approaches his chartered accountant. Because you are the one who has been dealing with the assessment, everything, appeals, everything you have been dealing with. So he goes to you with that. In many cases, the chartered accountant says, oh, it's nothing to do with me now. You ought to engage a criminal lawyer. He goes to a criminal lawyer. Criminal lawyer says, maybe because of greed, he might say, okay, I will give the reply. But The gentleman knows nothing about this subject. So where have you left this client? You don't read chapter 22. You don't want to get involved with it. The criminal lawyer knows nothing about the subject. He knows nothing about the background. Where should this man go? These kind of situations are creating more of a problem, which we call representation problems. When the representation is not proper, agencies will have a field day. Whatever the agency will think right, it will happen. So friends, in my opinion, that is the stage and that is how we work. That is how we handle it. That is the stage when a team of a lawyer and a chartered accountant ought to be formed. You cannot leave this client till the conclusion of the trial. You ought to brief this lawyer. It is your baby boss. He can only represent. He can only work upon your instructions. It is at this stage when the show cause has come, you have to decide how much of information you want to pass on to the department, what are your legal defenses, whether it is a case for defense or not, where it can be compounded or not. Suppose you think it is undefendable. So do you want to compound it? What could be the repercussions of the compounding? As Taneja sir told you that the repercussions could be in other laws. So you have to think about that. And give the client the correct opinion. But you cannot either write a one-page reply of denial or tell the client to go to a criminal lawyer or not to get involved with him. You have to tell him, boss, now you will have to pay twice. To me as well, to the criminal lawyer. This is the stage where two professionals are essential. I will keep my ego behind and go with you to the lawyer. Don't worry. Because I belong to legal profession, we lawyers tend to have big egos, you know. That is why I said that. I don't have. I am ready to come to your office. But the fact is that this is a very, very serious question which is to be addressed by us as a community. Now this is the problem which Taneja sir was mentioning. Section 50 of PMLA and the statements given under this. Now, you know there are identical provisions under Income Tax Act that the statements given to these authorities are considered as judicial proceedings, as if they are judges. Unfortunately, the courts have not appreciated that if these are judicial proceedings, then they ought to act like judges. They don't the judges record the statement in open court. Judges record the statements in presence of the counsel. Judges record the statements in presence of public. But not these people. They record statements in closed doors. So how could it be judicial proceedings? That is a misfortune which has happened to this country, that these obnoxious proceedings behind closed doors are considered as judicial proceedings. How can they be judicial proceedings? Pardon? No, it says they'll be considered as judicial. He is entitled to administer oath. He records this statement on oath. It's not quasi-judicial, sir. These statements recorded before him are admissible in evidence. Statements given to police, they are not admissible in evidence. However, he is entitled to administer oath, record a statement on oath. If any wrong thing is, if a false statement is given, the person is liable to be prosecuted. So it is completely a judicial proceeding, supposed to be judicial. How it is conducted is a completely different thing. So each one of us have to understand what is the result, what is the outcome, what is the impact of these statements, and what is to be done to deal with this obnoxious behavior. What can we do within the four corners of law? So the first thing which is to be understood is that while these statements are admissible in evidence, they are per se not proofs. The evidentiary value of these statements is a different thing than its admissibility. They are admissible, no doubt. But how much evidentiary value they contain is entirely different. And evidentiary value will depend upon the fact whether it was voluntary. Whether it contained the correct facts. Take for example, I go, he beats me up. On oath I say, Taj Mahal belongs to me. The statement is admissible. But can this have any evidentiary value? So the first trick of the trade is to say something in those statements, if they are being extracted by means of any coercion or pressure, say certain false things, which apparently would be false. Which will make that, what evidentiary value the court can attach to that. And second is to create a doubt. How do you create a doubt? What should you tell your client when he is going for recording of a statement? Pardon? Be? Yes. Let the mic be circulated. What should you tell your client? Sir, give the mic. Anybody who wants to say. What advice do you give to your clients when he gives to give a statement to any of the authorities?
Be confident, tell as much as you know, don't pretend to know or don't pretend to prove you are something right.
Great.
If you are really unsure, disclose that you are not sure, and for everything, I will come back again.
And anybody wants to add? It is not a test of your memory. It is not an argument. You just have to give facts. What happens is, they start answering, तुमने क्यों किया था? They start justifying. He is entitled only to ask facts from you. Give facts. Nothing more, nothing less. And facts which you remember. The facts you are sure about. The facts you know. And suppose he beats you up. Suppose he puts pressure, coercion. Then what should you do? Very good. Next. Yes. So the other thing is, suppose there is an injury, the first thing that person should do is to go to the hospital and tell the doctor how that injury has taken, even if it is a scratch on his body. Create evidence that pressure or coercion or force was applied. If you can create even a doubt, then the onus shifts back upon that officer again to prove the veracity of that document. While I am on it, we all know retractions. We all must have drafted retractions for the clients. What is the best retraction? What are the care which have to be taken when retracting a statement? Any one of you who would like to come in? That happens even in Income Tax Act, not only in PMLA. You give retractions there also. Pardon, sir?
Not to give additional evidence.
That's good.
I'm a lawyer.
Retraction should be at the earliest possible opportunity. Okay? The retraction should be of the person concerned, not under legal advice. What you have to advise him is that you are entitled to give retraction if any force or pressure was applied, but not draft retractions for them. Let him draft his own retraction himself. You may tell him that this is your right, this is what is your duty to tell him. But don't concoct a retraction for him. It will be caught by the court. Let him write what happened. That would be more believable. He should do it at the earliest opportunity. What is the meaning of a retraction after 1 month? Who will believe? It would be under legal advice only. So, certain things have to be taken care of. One has to understand the fine difference between the evidentiary value and admissibility. Of course, we are in the process of trying to impress upon the courts that these judicial proceedings should be conducted in the judicious manner. Till that happens, tough job at our hand. These are all formal things. So, I think we can take questions, Ashwani ji. Huh?
Yeah, we can start question answer session. So, no. We'll sit on dais.
It's all right, we can. Any one of you has any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Okay. No, but they are all going. Huh? Yes. Pardon? I said red denotes blood. Blood denotes crime. Okay. Just to distinguish it from black money, you gave the name black money because it is under some kind of a cloud. That is why it is called black money. So otherwise there is no white money also.
Thank you once again for such a keen participation. Now only the keen listeners will be left who are really interested in having some solutions for way forward. So whatever with regard to the conceptual background, because we had to cover it up in a fast. Only thing is that your question should not involve very much, thrashing of too many facts. Otherwise, on this forum, it may not be easy to. Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, under PMLA, they can attach the property and they can also prosecute, right? Both. Now, is there any question of any settlement or something? Okay, you confiscate the property and we come out clean and no, time has been committed. And is there any settlement commission type of structure available?
2-3 things which I required to mention, some of which were skipped while I was giving my deliberation. First was time limitation, which I said that they have forgotten that concept of time limitation. Second thing which was very important is that concept of intention has also withered away. Like for example, if a person has acquired a property which according to law, definition given the law is benami, then the consequences are that it will be treated as benami and the consequences will follow. For example, attachment, for example, prosecution. In prosecution, you may have something to argue, but as far as attachment is concerned, it is automatic. So, ill will, no will, the consequences are bound to happen. And third thing is, which you are saying, scope of settlement. So, I was wondering, there is a scope of U-turn in all walks of life. Okay, you have gone the wrong way, you take a U-turn, you go left, you right. And in USA, even under criminal laws, in Dubai, and even under criminal laws, there are fiscal penalties. But here, they do not give any such leeway. That, for example, if you have purchased benami property, so you say, okay, we are reversing the transaction. No, still it will be attached. Similarly, under this PMLA also, yesterday only, one case came up before us. It is a case of a college which received some amounts for improvement of the college under some joint collaboration from some companies which are probably some chit fund companies. And after a few years, it came to the light that those chit fund companies have defaulted and therefore they have been dragged into the litigation and now dragged into PMLA proceedings by ED also. So now few crores have come up to this education institution. Now they are saying, sir, we will return, and that is the end of the matter. But will that be end of the matter? Or the proceedings will begin here with a new beginning. Okay, you are returning, that means you admit these are proceedings of crime. Or these will take a different shape. So that leeway is not provided under the law. The only administrative convenience he can have is he can offer, sir, don't touch my other properties. Okay, I received 5 crore rupees, 5 crore FD I am providing, attach it. And then keep on fighting. So administratively, okay, he will feel some convenience. But beyond that, whether the matter will come to an end, the law does not contain any such provision for various reasons.
I think you would also like to add something on this.
Even temples are being attached. The money has gone into a charitable trust. The dharamshalas are being attached. There is no problem. There is no way. Even if the money has gone to God, then also it can be attached.
Property, or they have to, some money has to be collected, it has to be auctioned or something like that. How is it closed?
It has to be after the prosecution, end of the prosecution. The provision says that the judge will decide if the money laundering has taken place, then he will decide whether to confiscate it or not. But there are not even 10 cases in the country who have seen that stage in last 20 years. So that stage, when will it come? The properties are attached, they are lying as NPAs for years together. So that is the end of the world. Yes.
Sir, yeah.
Why don't you close these lights? Just switch off these lights. We can't see these people. Just switch off these lights, these floodlights.
Yeah. So you had mentioned that the powers are given to them, that is a judicial proceeding what the investigation officer, and you say it is against the principles of natural justice or whatever. So has it not been constitutionally challenged, or as?
See, unfortunately, this law was settled first time under the provisions of Customs Act. That was settled way back almost 4 decades ago, 5 decades ago. And after that, because the law is settled one way, it is not getting changed. Nobody, unfortunately, argued it then. Now we people are crying foul, but I don't know when it will be changed. But interpretation, in my opinion and Ashwani sir's opinion, it is absolutely ridiculous to call a proceeding in a closed door as judicial proceeding. You can't take a statement on oath with a danda in hand, and call it a judicial proceeding. It is absolutely absurd.
You also mentioned that they may beat you up. I mean, in passing you said they may beat the guy. There is no remedy for the person?
No remedy. Lawyers never say that there is no remedy.
I mean, we can't take anything against the officer. He has the right to do that, or
he doesn't.
Has it been charged? Has it been?
Yeah. There are many officers who have been charged.
Have been charged.
Yeah. Many officers have been charged in past.
Thank you.
There have been cases where people, please close it. Yeah, that's good. We can now see.
Will there be any other imprisonment, something like that?
See, my friend, these kind of loose ends, which Mr. Taneja said in a very light vein, that samay anant hai, there is no end to it. So these are loose ends. After all, this is what makes these laws draconian. Nobody is saying that anybody who has committed the offense should be allowed to use the fruits of that offense. None of us here would say that. The problem is, like the question came from the gentleman, that there should be some closure. If suppose this person says that, okay, I admit, tell me what are the consequences. I want to finish it off right now. So there should be some closure, na? He should be in a position to say, okay, this much of penalty I am paying, this much of money I am paying, and you give me some kind of, like in Income Tax Act, you have majority of the offenses which can be compounded. So when these are financial offenses, there should be some kind of financial closure to them. But the closure is not there. That is the whole problem. The properties are being attached. Large number of properties which we have. Large number of properties. ED does not have the machinery to even manage them. Even to put security guards there. They don't have the wherewithal. But they have attached that property. Now the things are being stolen from there. So these kind of loose ends are making these laws draconian.
One or two instances, what would be the settlement?
We have got certain discharges even.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
One little doubt, sir. Maybe not relevant to this subject also. Fundamental concept in judicial system is punishment.
I know your mic is not held properly. Hold it like this. Just, sir,
Yeah.
hold it like this.
Fundamental principle in judicial system is punishment should not be greater than the offense. But in the given cases, huge properties are attached against any crime. So is not it violating the fundamental concept and cannot anyone challenge it?
Sir, in case of undisclosed foreign assets or income, FEMA, Black Money Act, all put together, there is 320% penalty. Totally disproportionate. Then prosecution. It's all, it's all ad hoc. I showed you the identical provision is there in Income Tax Act 276C. You are bringing in section 51 in Black Money Act, identical, word by word. The only difference is that in respect of, if it is a tax evasion within the country, this much is the penalty, this much is the sentence. If it is outside the country, this much is the sentence. You could have added another provision in 276C itself, that if it is in respect of the foreign asset or foreign income, then it will be this much. Where was the necessity to bring another act?
So, brother, that is what I was trying to say. The doctrine of proportionality has been lost somewhere. And that is why I was saying that we need to unlearn the old things which we had learned, realign ourselves, freshly learn with the open mind. Earlier, the cost of compliance was higher. Cost of compliance was higher and cost of non-compliance was lower. Now the cost of non-compliance has become this much high now. This much high. Non-compliance, compliance is here. So non-compliance is going to be very, very costly. That is why we need to reset, realign, rework entire mechanism of our living and financial affairs.
And all our thought processes have to change. You have to understand this reverse burden, you have to understand all these things. If you don't do that, look at me. This is my 40th year in profession. What I had learned in law college, it has been put on its head. If I don't learn continuously, they will say you are not entitled to even practice. Because totally the things have changed. Everything has changed. And that is why I tell you, in many cases of these, in almost every case, there is some chartered accountant, company secretary, they are all co-accused there. Because they failed in changing themselves with time. They did not understand the seriousness. I'm sure that they never wanted to be the part of any offense. It is only that they did not change with time.
So, the first change which we think as far as profession is concerned, that we have to learn carrying out our profession at arm's length principle vis-a-vis our clients. If we are carrying out the profession in that sense, then this problem which Khemka sir has mentioned, that professionals are made co-accused, can be avoided, and even if not avoided, then handled well. But we, under some belief of simplicity, or under some belief of innocence, or under some casual approach, foregranted approach, intermingle the things. For example, it's a small thing, but it can sometimes prove to be a very, very dangerous thing, that the chartered accountants who are filing income tax returns are keeping the digital signatures of their clients with them. Now, if client is involved in wrongdoing, and the allegations are that, so and so person are accomplices. So now you can see this simple evidence
of or incidence of finding out of digital signature during the search at the premises of chartered accountant, how much it will be amplified? Yes, the next question, please. Idhar dena Malik.
These laws, I see it in two ways. One is for your own sake and for your client's sake, you have to change. You have to understand the intricacies. The other is, it's a big business opportunity. Let's not forget that. It's a big, big opportunity. Lawyers know nothing about it. It is whatever I have learned from my chartered accountant friends. Okay. I don't know anything. So please understand, it's a very, very big opportunity for all of you. It's very, in this whole auditorium, only one hand was raised who said that I am ready to even attempt a definition of PML, of money laundering. So this is not done. This is your subject, boss. This is your domain. So you ought to understand and practice it. Yes, somebody was wanting to
So
ask.
regarding the Binami Act and the provisions of Binami Act.
Yes.
So I just wanted to understand, so it's quite common that within family members, okay?
Within?
Like family members. So like maybe I want to buy a property, I am earning for it and I'm putting in all the money. But for emotional reasons or for financial security, I also make my wife as the joint owner. Or, I make my children as the joint owner. So indirectly, it might also result in, trying to do some tax planning or whatever. Okay, like, maybe tomorrow the rentals are shared because they're joint owners. And another topic what you're telling is that if the money is sent from abroad, and my son sends it from abroad and I purchase the property in my name. So these kind of transactions were more for convenience or for financial security within the family or for emotional reasons.
Very good question. Let me answer. I have understood. Let me answer.
Please go ahead, sir.
In fact, this is a question which each of us should raise, analyze and find its answer. And accordingly do our own personal life also and professional guidance also. Now what my brother is saying, that there are compelling customer, social, emotional reasons when the properties are held within the family in each other's name. Now my first answer to this is, the law is very clear as I said. It has risen above emotions. It has risen above customary practices. It has risen above any other imperative needs. The law is quite sweeping and deeming. It says no means no. You have heard this proverb in movies context also, no means no. So here also it is saying no means no. Nothing, forget, no justification, except what is provided under the law. If it is happening that way, all right. Not happening, all right. Nothing, no even U-turn, no nullified intention, no emotional reason, no social security, nothing. What is allowed under the law under Benami is spouse. You can buy the property in the name of spouse. Somebody asks a question, sir. Okay, sir, but whose spouse? So do you need to ask this also? So law says own spouse. Own word is also added. They knew this kind of things will come. Own spouse. Or in the name of child. Right? Child means what?
Who's child?
No, child means child up to what age? Child of any age, according to my understanding. Then, the kind of questions which are coming in sessions on Benami, everybody has his own kinds of tensions. So, own kind of tension will give own kind of questions also. So that is why these questions keep coming. Somebody is, very worried his Benami property should not be detected. Somebody is worried his Benami rishta should not be detected. So accordingly, so law has plugged all the loopholes. So nothing doing, no Benami. Live your life real, no Benami life.
But it would help if you read the definition, because buying property in the name of children is not Benami. Yeah. And buying also in the name of a spouse is not Benami. However, buying in the name of parents can be Benami.
So I will explain what is provided. The definition says, as far as in the name of spouse is concerned, you can buy, no problem. In the name, some other names, like in the name of brother, sister, lineal ascendant or descendant, you can buy, brother, sister also. But then you have to be joint owner there. There cannot be simply maybe joint owner of any percentage, but your name should be there in the title deed. That is one. Second, then in that case, it should be from the known sources. You can do it, but it should be from the known sources, K-N-O-W-N, known. So, I do not know, they have not explained the meaning of the word known. It should be declared, you should be able to tell something. So, then ostensibly it should not be from black money. It should not be from some untaxed paid money. Though no, they have not used the word tax paid, but I think impliedly at least this much should be taken. That should be from tax paid money, declared sources, which can be described. So that is a requirement. So no U-turn, no emotions, no social. Achha, even if you happen to buy, say, in the name of brother, right? In this live example I am saying, both the brothers bought the property. One was living on the first floor, other was living in the second floor. Property was bought in the name of elder brother only for whatever reasons. And when the younger brother was claiming tax exemption, the officer asked for the title deed, tax exemption on loan, housing loan. So interest rebate. So title deed was in the name of the first brother. So he was saying, sir, we are living together, but actually speaking, we are both the owners, and title deed is in the name of first brother because I was abroad and he is my elder brother. That is why. You know, whatever happened in tax rebate is different thing, but property from notice from BPU came, treating the first brother as benamidar of the second brother as beneficial owner. And first floor was attached. That is what has happened practically. Now, another question which you asked is also equally important, that suppose somebody is living abroad and he wants to invest in land in India. He cannot invest in land in India because he is non-resident. So what he does is he chooses his friend. Okay, on my behalf, you purchase. This case happened in Gujarat. So some search happened and the friend here in India blurted out everything. Ki, no, I am having it on behalf of my friend who is living abroad in South Africa and this, that. So property is attached, Indian friend is treated as benamidar, and they are waiting for the foreign friend to put his feet on the soil of the country so that he can also be dragged into the proceedings. So Filal, land is gone, taxes are paid, and he is benamidar.
It is prosecutable.
And now first person is being prosecuted also, the person in India. Now if it is within the family also, if it is permissible under Benami, all right, Benami will not be applicable, but at least FEMA will disturb. Because if the FEMA is saying non-residents cannot buy the property, you will say, no, sir, my father could not have purchased, so son has purchased. But if you are claiming it that is on behalf of father, then there is a problem. In that case, what can be done is, father can give to son, and then son can purchase. Gifting is not problem. For somebody was saying, sir, what is the problem? What is the problem if I buy property in my mother's name? Can I not give to her? I say, yes, you can give to her. Brother, problem is we do not do actually what we show that we are doing. If you want to give to your mother, give land to your mother. Who stops you? But it should be then the property of the mother. You cannot claim it to be your property. You cannot derive benefit of rental from there. You cannot show it in your balance sheet then. Then be natural, be fully. So again, Gyan from there, they have borrowed and put in a Benami law. That as Krishna says, that whatever you are doing from inside, do it from outside. Whatever you're doing from outside, do it from inside. Whatever you are from outside, remain same from inside. Whatever you are from inside, remain as from outside. So, get rid of Benami life, live real life. That is the message. Thank you. Thank you very much.
There's one last query, please. On the interplay between income tax and the black money law, Khemka sir had brought it up, this particular issue, that black money law has deeming fiction that there's mens rea. So let's say individual misses out on disclosing foreign assets in his tax return. Have you seen any case where, obviously there will be a consequence in black money law, there may be a consequence in black money law. Have you come across any such cases? And because many of the MNC guys who get this RSUs from their MNC parent company which are listed in US, they may sometimes miss out reporting it in Indian tax returns. So that's something I wanted to check.
No, the onus to prove that there was no intention to commit only shifts on the accused. In one of the cases, I mean, that is probably the first discharge in Black Money Act, we have succeeded in doing that. You know, even at the initial stage. We drafted the reply to the show cause in such a manner that we discharged our burden in that itself. So when the prosecution came, we told the court that, look, we have already, earlier when the property was acquired, at that time we had disclosed it to the authorities. Our balance sheet showed that. So there were, you have to build a case. You have to, ought to have all the facts for that. Thank you very much for, and Kavita ji was saying that there are no questions.
I did not say that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your interactive interest. And it gives us a lot of encouragement to keep coming back to you and book us for the compliance, the reporting entity thing.
Yes.
So, just 1 second. If you really find that today's session was somewhat fulfilling, give a big round of applause in the honor of Kavita ji, Pramod ji, Divya ji, who is on maternity leave. Thank you very much.
It was indeed an enlightening session for all of us. And the most important takeaway is that there is lot to learn and take up as a practice area, which is important also with the changes what is happening to the profession. So I thank both of you, sir, Ashwin Taneja, sir, and as well as Khemka ji, for your taking your time out and then coming here. May I request Pramod Hegde, Vice Chairman, to hand over a token of gratitude to both the speakers. Can I have a big round of applause for both of them? We'll have a